More on character backgrounds today on Out of Character. Hi, and welcome to Out of Character. I'm Jason Corley.
I'm Don Dem.
And I'm Derek Rex.
And assisting us today with engineering is Aaron Lee Newburn.
Hello.
Today, before we jump into our topic, I just wanted to say that if you're in the Tucson area and you...
I happen to be in the Tucson area, by the way.
Really? That's great.
Yeah.
Well, unfortunately, you're not eligible for what I'm about to offer, Derek.
Okay.
Which is that if you play and enjoy RPGs, I know you still qualify. Okay.
So far, so good.
So far, so good.
Two thumbs.
And you want to become a YouTube superstar with more than 4 people watching you on YouTube every week, or at least once... Contact us on the contact form on pulpgamer.com and let us know that you want to come and be a guest. We want to build a community of people in Tucson who have some expertise and some new experiences to bring in. We had a great time.
Not that he's running out of things to say, Mike.
Oh, no. Let's not go that far. But it was really fun to have Jonathan Strootman on for a couple of weeks and have some new experiences, some new stories to bat around. So if you would like to appear on Out of Character and you're in the Tucson area, you will pay for your own transportation, but we will handle everything else.
Actually, speaking of paying for your own transportation, if you're in the Boston area, whatever.
Yeah, that's right.
But yeah, if you're accessible to the show and you're able to come down, I think is what you're saying. Yeah?
Exactly. We want to build on your experiences, and if you have a topic that you'd like to talk about, just let us know and come down and educate us, help us do better. So speaking of, I know.
Did you hear that?
Not sure how that's going to happen, but
well, I know. But it actually did happen because we had a 2-part episode on character backgrounds, and then one of our listeners or viewers, Brett Evil, I assume he's related to Scott Evil and Dr. Evil, he posted on pulpgamer.com a really detailed message that I thought went into some good details about character backgrounds that we didn't go into when we talked about it. So I thought today we could talk about some of the things that he brought up. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but he does.
You say you really liked what he said, right?
I did.
Then why did you black out everything?
Okay, we're not going to look at that. He said, I am something of a minimalist for character backstory. I always urge my players to keep it short, simple, and trope-infested. Sometimes I even tell them not to bother with biography. I want to know who their character is, not how he got to be that way. He gives several reasons, but the summary is personality matters more than biography when you're preparing a character background. And I thought that was very insightful. What do you guys think?
I'm all over that. I mean, I think if I haven't said it before, I'm going to say it now or repeat what he said, because that makes tons of sense. A lot of times biography or something, you can make up something and throw it into your past. It's like, oh, when it comes up in dialogue, when it comes up. But really what makes that character fun immediately, especially in a role-playing environment, is that is those quirks, those personality traits that you can play on. And I think they're more accessible. I think they're more immediate. Sometimes the character background is helpful to give it some more depth, or if you're trying to make a decision on how a character would react. But until you build up to that point, until you have some experiences to build on,
and the biography,
those are just quicker.
And the biography might help with like game mechanics, right? If your character was a soldier at some point, that would be important information to have to develop your character's abilities.
But also, if you set that in stone, that also limits the capability of the campaign in the future as well.
True.
If you leave a little bit of blank slate there,
and that's the good point there. I don't mind a little bit of background to start off the game, but certainly you don't want to delay the start of the adventure, the start of the campaign, in order to have a complete and detailed background. And you can morph your background as the character develops, going into this, an old system of like D&D where you have a first level character and you maybe up to 15th, 20th level. Why can't you introduce new elements of your background at 16th level? Right. It's doable. Doesn't all have to be up front.
Television shows do it all the time.
Yes. But Brett, I will tell you though, if you're not a big fan of background, stay away from Traveler. That's how you make your characters develop his background and then go on.
Yeah, and it's not just Traveler. Many games have a life path system, Cyberpunk and so on.
I was just going to throw in that. Yeah, like I said in my last episode, if you don't fill in enough, if there are details of your background, you can make up for the DM's benefit. Again, that NPC who just got kidnapped no one cares. He's your cousin.
Yeah, just declare that they're connected to you in some way.
That's
now
a great
everyone
way to
cares.
roll.
Yep, absolutely.
Because it allows you to be more improv and flow off of things. If you're not sorry, at 13 I was in the academy, I couldn't have been there.
One of the challenges I think that Brett's idea here, that personality matters more, is what are some of the good and bad personality traits that you can give a character? I'm just going to name one straight off. If you make a character who's not interested in the events of the campaign, or because of their personality is, well, this is I look around the table at 6 other people who I'm going to be sharing this session with, and I say, my guy's kind of a loner. That is a personality trait that can really sort of hold back or drag down the campaign rather than one that advances it forward.
The 4 worst words in RPGs. I'm a lone wolf.
I'm a lone wolf.
The 3 worst
I blame Wolverine
neutral.
for this. Like everything else that's bad in the world, I blame Wolverine.
You are the Wolverine of Game Master.
Well, we won't go into that now. Otherwise, it might trigger my berserker rage.
Oh, okay. Is that because what he does ain't pretty?
Yes, exactly.
Okay,
exactly.
Got it.
And actually, I wanted to also mention there are certain areas in which you can use a general outline of biography to create personality. Derek, you've worked with and in the Army for many years.
Right.
So you know that there are certain personality types associated with military service in the modern United States Army.
And you get the wide variety of them because, it's very clear. Sometimes you find those personalities that, you made that mistake signing up on the dotted line. And really you need to try to finish out your term with honor and move on to something that's better suited to you. But beyond that, there are. You've got the people who are real sticklers for details. You've got the people who are seek guidance.
Right.
They're not very much
comfortable in a hierarchy.
Sure.
And so those personality traits can be related to biography. So if you've got a biography trait that you really are dedicated to, the challenge then becomes, how do I connect that biographical trait of my character's background to something I can express at the table? So someone who has, say, a military background where it was it was not a negative experience for them, it was positive. They come out of it and they, are immediately looking for hierarchies, and they're immediately looking for, who's in charge and what is everybody's task at any given time. That's a personality trait. That moves the game forward, whereas what happened in your past, nobody really cares,
I think, and this might have to do a little bit of the style of play. I'm a big fan of team play, which means characters in my games or games around me that are too individually driven are disruptive.
Right.
It's like, and you can talk about it in any term you want, whether it's, spotlight stealing or whether it's...
so basically me.
Well, we see, that's why you got the show spot. No. But if you've got characters that just have their own motives, that want to go off and do their own things all the time, or even worse, if it's going to be contrary to the group's objectives. Simplest case in point is the thief. Everybody
in the
at
classic
age 12
scenarios,
thinks it's cute to steal from the other players. That's a growing point where you just have to get over that at some point. Because it's disruptive. You already brought up the cool cat translates well on film.
Because the camera focuses in on him and he's lighting a cigarette. And you're like, wow, that guy's just
Strider
so cool.
in the corner. But I don't want to hear you describe your character doing. You know what I mean? You don't have something to say. That's where the fun is in the dialogue. So think about how your character's going to deliver dialogue and make it exciting.
Keep in mind, I'm pulling from my theater experience here. The person everyone hates in any given play is the person playing the lead. Just remember that. If you want to be the cool Captain James Dean loner, that means you get to be the one everyone hates.
Well, and actually that brings up another point that Brett posted, which is he said that when devising your character's situation, beware of giving him or her issues that are at all urgent, which is very interesting to me because I hadn't thought about it in that way. And what he's warning against is something like, I have 48 hours to live unless I get this antidote from the bad guy. And suddenly the game becomes about that because no one can ignore your urgent need. No one can ignore your urgent problem.
And you can't go on the quest that is set before you.
Exactly, which might be equally urgent, and now people are trying to juggle two really urgent things. And that kind of brought up to me, I like to start campaigns with a bang. I like to just jump right in, and there's something you have to cope with right now.
And like in the middle of a combat scene.
Yeah, in the middle of a combat, you know, the spaceship you're on is crashing, terrorists are taking over your office building, whatever it happens to be, something you just can't ignore and that's really exciting. Other people like to sort of ease into it a little more slowly. So I wanted to talk about urgency in character design. Like, what is, if you have a character with a goal, how urgent do you make it? How do you make it so that it's compelling without taking over, you know, the action of the game?
Well, I think one of the quickest or the easiest things to do is go ahead and introduce this burning desire that you've got. Maybe not to find the antidote for the poison that's going to kill me in 48 hours, but you know, I think we talked about one example, a missing sister. I'm looking for my sister. So as you're playing through the adventures you've got, you can introduce that in. Hey, by any chance, did you see a little girl who blah, 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 blah?
Let's capture this bad guy alive. He might know something about my sister.
And throw it out there. And after a few games of doing that, where you're always, bring one in.
That actually would be fun.
A great.
You need a GM that's responsive to that.
Well, but I think even if the GM isn't responsive, it is even blindsided by it. After a few sessions of this, it becomes a hook for the party and the GM together to start saying, well, let's look at what we've got that we can explore with this. This person needs to find his sister.
Yeah, a couple of brick walls in a quest like that is actually good for the quest because it's solving a mystery, and going down a couple of blind leads actually is part of the fun of experiencing a mystery.
Yeah.
So even if people block you out on something like, I'm going to solve the mystery of my father's death or my sister's kidnapping or something like that, something that's a little too big for your character to bite off right now, but which might have some ramifications down the road. Thanks to Brett for this terrific comment, and you can read it in its entirety on pulpgamer.com on our Character Backgrounds episode. If you have a comment, we do read them all, and thank you for your feedback, and thank you for your ideas. You can post them to us on Twitter, on Facebook. You can post them here in the show notes on YouTube and on pulpgamer.com, and we'll see you next time. Thanks.
Thank you.
Good night.
pulpgamer.com